In Dan Heath's book, Upstream, he talks about this concept that he calls upstream thinking. The premise of the book is how to solve problems before problems even have an opportunity to present themselves. So similarly, when it comes to strength training, there is a way to think upstream to prevent potential problems from happening. And what are these potential problems? Injuries along the way. So if you have a goal of building a stronger, leaner, more capable body so you can do more of what you enjoy, for me, that's jiu-jitsu. For you, that might be playing with your kids, golfing, fishing, hiking, whatever that might be. The name of the game is longevity. That's what we're all trying to get stronger for, right? Our sport, as guys, as dads, our sport is life. And the fastest way to derail your progress is getting injured. So today I want to share with you 3 ways that you can think upstream to prevent injuries and preventing any potential problems that might occur in this journey of strength for you. I call these built-in safety mechanisms. And the first safety mechanism is exercise selection. So there's gonna be 3 categories we're gonna talk about today. So category number 1 is gonna be exercise selection. And each of these exercises are what I call upstream strength exercises. And the first one's gonna be the kettlebell deadlift. Even the barbell deadlift would be an upstream exercise. Why is that so? Well, for the deadlift, you don't need a spotter. Compared to bench press, compared to barbell back squatting, you can't lift more weight than you can carry. This is one of the great hidden benefits of strength training with kettlebells is you can't lift weight more than you can carry because you have to clean the weight from a dead position on the ground. And one of the, in my opinion, one of the downfalls, for lack of better words, with barbell training is you can load up a maximal amount of weight that you might not be ready to be lifting. I talked about this in a previous video around micro loading. Using weights that you're just not ready to be lifting. And so if we look at the barbell back squat, we can take a barbell, put it on a rack, we can load hundreds of pounds on it, get underneath it. But if we don't have the structural integrity, the skill set, etc., we're just gonna crumble underneath the weight because we are attempting to lift a weight that we might not be able to carry. But when it comes to the kettlebell front squat, you can only squat what is it you can carry, whatever it is that you can transfer from the ground to the rack position. And so the deadlift is that first exercise. It's an exercise that you can load fairly heavy, but you can't lift more than you can carry. And the moment that you can't carry it, you drop the weight, so you don't need a spotter. The second upstream exercise to building a stronger, more capable body, that is upstream, that would keep you from bumping into injuries along the way, would be the kettlebell clean. We don't teach our students in the academy how to do the kettlebell swing right away. That's usually something that we don't teach until around the 5th month of coaching. Reason being, the kettlebell swing requires more coaching, more skill sets. And it's an exercise that's, how would I describe this? It's just happening in real time, meaning like you can't really course correct in the middle of doing swings. If you're doing a set of swings, you could probably do one swing at a time, like the dead stop swing, but you're doing repetitions of swings. It's difficult in my coaching experience to correct that on the fly. With a kettlebell clean, it's a self-correcting exercise. You will know right away if you're doing the exercise wrong. How? Number 1, the kettlebell will start slamming into you, slam into your chest, slam into your shoulders, particularly start slamming into your forearms. With the kettlebell swing, you can get away with hundreds of swings before you know that you're doing it wrong. And usually the key indicator, if you're doing it wrong, sore lower back is the key one. But by the time you do that, you're 50 or more swings deep, and it's kind of too late. Well, not too late, but you're gonna have to rest a few days, recover, and then get back after. With the kettlebell clean, you can only get away with a handful, and I wouldn't even say a handful. You can only get away with 1 or 2 cleans, and you're like, yeah, not doing this correctly. Another way that the kettlebell clean is self-correcting is it'll tear your grip up. You can't get away with many kettlebell cleans before you start tearing your hands apart. right? That if you're over gripping, the bell starts turning in the hands, starts creating blisters, you're gonna know that right away. So there's many other hidden reasons why the kettlebell clean is, in my opinion, superior. In terms of learning the skill, getting stronger, okay? So with the kettlebell clean, we can work on one clean at a time, right? You can dead clean, you can cheat clean the bell up, cheat clean the bell on the way down. You can work on shoulder positioning, you can work on bracing your abs, which is, the kettlebell clean is essentially, it's that racked position. That pattern is the hardstyle plank. So it's a great transfer and carry over once you work on the hardstyle plank, and then you work on the dead clean and you work on that rack position. There's a big carryover there. And so the kettlebell clean, same thing as a deadlift. You can't lift more weight than you can carry, and it's self-correcting. The third exercise selection, third upstream exercise would be, we've already mentioned, the kettlebell front squat. This could be single and double kettlebell front squat. All for the previous reasons why I stated. Kettlebells are in the rack position. You can't front squat more than you can carry. And the moment that, compared to like the barbell back squat, the kettlebell front squat compresses your abdomen more than it compresses your spine. So it's really gonna hit the abs hard. And the moment you can't maintain that posture, the moment you can't maintain a strong upper back and midsection, and when you get to the bottom, what's gonna happen is your hamstrings are gonna try to kick in. If your quads are too weak, your hamstrings are gonna try to kick in, and you're gonna almost like good morning the weight up, and that's how people run into problems with the barbell back squat. With the kettlebell front squat, you can't do that. The moment that if your quads give out or your core gives out, and you try to raise your hips to like use your back to get up out of the squat, the bells will fall off your chest. So built-in safety mechanism right there. And number two, as I mentioned, you just can't front squat more than you can carry. If you don't have a solid rack position, you're not gonna have a solid front squat. Because what the front squat is a rack position that moves up and down. The next upstream exercise would be, this is a barbell exercise, but it's built off the pattern of the goblet squat and even the front squat, is the Zercher squat. Has a great carryover to your deadlift, and it's essentially a much heavier goblet squat. So it builds the pattern, it reinforces your deadlift, helps you build stronger hips. But the key thing is, as the common denominator of the other exercises, you can't lift a weight more than you can carry. So you're working on building your arms. If you're a grappler, Zercher squat, phenomenal exercise. If you're a Zercher squat, teaches you how to create tension through your arms, teaches you that squeezing strength, or not teaches you, but reinforces that squeezing strength. And of course, you can't lift more weight than you can carry. So those would be, just right off the top of my head, 4 key exercises that we would classify as upstream exercises, meaning they're gonna build a stronger, more capable body, they're gonna build your posture, they're gonna even build your foundation of strength. But each one of those have a built-in safety mechanism, and that built-in safety mechanism across all 4 exercises is you can't lift more weight than you can carry. So what that's gonna do long term is it allows you to train for longevity, it allows you to build your skill, and it's gonna allow you to train for the long haul. And they're simple. So this is a little formula that anytime we're going to put a training program together, anytime we're gonna put exercises together, we wanna follow this formula. Is it simple? Because simplicity leads to repeatability. If something is simple, it can be repeated over and over. And it's that repeatability that leads to consistency, and consistency is the mother of all success. The more consistent you can be with something, which means that you can do it more frequently, and the more frequently you can do it, that's more skill practice, that leads to long-term progress, that leads to longevity, and the longer that you can do something, just the better you're gonna get, the better the results you're gonna see. So each of those 4 exercises, the common denominator there is you can't lift more weight than you can carry. Now, the second way to think upstream when it comes to building a stronger, more capable body is your programming. Programming is a key component of building a stronger and more capable body. So whenever you're planning out your volume, there's a lot more details, a lot more nuance into this, but just a rule of thumb for you to follow is plan your volume per set anywhere from 2/3, or anywhere from 1/3 to 2/3 of your capability. Example, let's say you have, a pair of kettlebells that you can front squat 10 times. Well, when you're planning out your weights, or when you're planning out your volume for that day, keep your reps to, somewhere around 3 to 6. So you can do ladders of 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, somewhere in that range. What that allows you to do, especially if you run it like in a ladder protocol, that allows you to build up a lot of volume. And as I mentioned in our last video on micro loading, it's volume that builds long-term strength, not intensity. Intensity peaks your strength, but you can't stay at that peak forever. So you peak that strength, and then you try to build your volume there. And so planning your volume at 1/3 to 2/3 of your capacity is a built-in safety mechanism. It keeps you from overtraining, and it allows you to train a lot of volume. Example, let's say you took that same 10 rep max front squat and you did 10 front squats. Well, the next set, you might not be able to, I'm willing to bet you won't be able to do another 10. And if you do, you're gonna be in a very extreme state of fatigue, and they're gonna be sloppy front squats. So you might get like 8, maybe 8 quality front squats. The next set, you might drop to 6, and then each set essentially deteriorates. And so let's say you only get 4 sets in. You do a set of 10, then a set of 8, set of 6. What does that put us at? 18, 24, and then a set of 4. You get in 24, 28 front squats. Only 4, maybe 5 working sets. Compared to if you did sets of 3, sets of 4, sets of 5, I mean, you could easily triple the volume. And what does that lead to? More skill practice, building your volume. Health, longevity allows you to, what Professor Zatsiorsky says, being able to train often, heavy, and as frequent as possible. When you have a built-in safety mechanism around your programming, like training from 1/3 to 2/3, that allows you to do that. If you're planning out, let's say like a kettlebell complex, or maybe you're trying to choose a kettlebell that you want to do a training program with, I recommend choosing a bell that you can snatch a particular number of repetitions. So let's say you're going to do a kettlebell press program, or maybe a kettlebell complex program. Base your intensity off what is it you can double snatch or single snatch, probably double snatch. The reason for that is because the snatch is going to be your weak link. It's for everybody. The weakest exercise in, let's say, a kettlebell complex or a chain, is usually going to be a weight that you can snatch or a weight that you can press. But I like to choose the snatch, because if you can snatch a bell 10 times, or 10 or more times, you can press that bell for sets of 5, sets of 6, right? So if I could take a 24 kilo, and if I can do, 15 single kettlebell snatches, 20 kettlebell snatches without putting it down, I know I can do up to sets of 10 probably, So again, and then if I base it off 1/3 to 2/3, that allows me to train more volume, allows me to get in more skill practice, and the built-in safety mechanism there would be basing the volume off the snatch. And then the last built-in safety mechanism for today would be loading parameters. So this ties into what I talked about, again, in our last video on micro loading. Stick to classic kettlebell sizes. And what are those classic kettlebell sizes? Well, if we're being super traditional, the classic kettlebell size would be 8 kilo jumps. Okay, so for men, we'd be looking at 16, 24, 32, 40. But if we want to go with more of a modern choice, 4 kilo jumps at a minimum. For men, we want to avoid those 2 kilo jumps. We don't want to use 14 kilo bells, 16, 18s. You want that sharper change in load. As for more details on why, I covered that in the micro loading video. Be sure to check that out. For ladies, different story. You can go with 2 kilo jumps, but avoid taping 1 pound plates and whatnot to your kettlebells. So that right there, by using those classic style weights, that keeps you from using weights that you're just not ready for. And so what that does is that puts you in a great advantageous position to practice your skill with that lighter weight. Work on your technique, get your skill set up, and build your volume there, because it's volume that builds long-term strength, not intensity. So if your goal, as I mentioned in the beginning, is to build a stronger, leaner, more capable body so you can do more of what you enjoy, you've got to know how to incorporate these built-in safety mechanisms. And when you do, you'll be able to train longer, you'll be able to train more often, and more importantly, you're not going to be bumping into injuries because of your upstream thinking. That's all I got for you today, man. Appreciate you watching. See you on the next one. Peace. And if you need a resource that incorporates all the built-in safety mechanisms that we talked about today, in the description, I will place a link to our Kettlebell Workout Snacks ebook, where it is a collection of done-for-you 4-week programs, not random workouts, to help you build that stronger, leaner, more capable body. I'll put the link in the description below. Appreciate you watching, man. Peace.